Welcome, English learners, to the Deep Dive. This is the segment we've designed, well, specifically for you.
Exactly.
We're on the Native Ear channel, and our mission really is simple. We want to give you a genuine shortcut to fluency. And we do that by deeply analyzing real, everyday conversations. We take common English, we slow it right down, we break it into practical tools so you can build your confidence, quickly and thoroughly.
It's all about the tools.
It is. I am your host, and today I've got our expert guide and experienced instructor with me. He's here to help us unpack this really crucial source material. He specializes in turning what feels like social pressure into, well, conversational success.
It is a genuine pleasure to be here. Our focus today is completely on practical application, the social mechanics of English.
Social mechanics, I like that.
Yeah, we're moving far beyond just, simple vocabulary lists. We're going straight into how fluent speakers actually manage those slightly awkward or challenging social situations.
The ones everyone dreads.
Exactly. We're focusing on language tools that you, the listener, can apply immediately in your real life to sound more natural and, I think, more authoritative.
That is exactly right. And our source material today, it revolves around a quick, simple, but, surprisingly complex and common encounter.
So common.
It's that moment you run into someone you know, but you're rushing, and then, poof, you suddenly draw a blank on their name.
Oh, that feeling. The worst.
It's the worst. But by the time we finish this deep dive, you're going to walk away with 4 concrete, high-value results that you can use, immediately.
And we can guarantee these fluency milestones today because we're analyzing the structure of these conversations, not just, the words themselves.
Okay, so first, you will learn 3 absolutely essential English words and phrases. These are perfect for navigating those slightly stressful social situations, where you need to be polite and respectful, but also firm about maybe ending the conversation or making an apology for a memory lapse.
Second, we're going to teach you several practical, really natural ways to describe locations clearly. This is so vital when you're giving directions or just briefly describing where you work or where you live.
Right.
We're breaking down the critical variations of these proximity phrases that really separate a beginner from a fluent speaker.
And third, and this is maybe the most important one, you will gain advanced communication strategies. Actual real-world tricks for dealing with that extremely common and embarrassing situation of forgetting someone's name.
Yes, especially when you're in a professional environment. We've got 2 solid, discrete solutions for you to try.
And finally, you'll discover and master the most highly common and casual way that native speakers greet an acquaintance. This will make you sound immediately more spontaneous, more natural, and, well, genuinely conversational.
It really will.
So ask yourself right now, have you ever been genuinely in a rush and needed a polite way to end a conversation without seeming, rude or dismissive?
I think we all have.
Or had someone's name completely vanish from your memory just when you needed it most? If the answer is yes, then this deep dive is, well, it's custom made for you. We're going into the detailed mechanics of these moments. Don't miss out on these essential lessons. They really bridge the gap between textbook English and real life. So please, take a moment now to like and subscribe to the Native Ear channel. And maybe share this lesson with family and friends so they can also benefit from these, useful, practical language tools.
Let's get into it.
Let's begin our deep dive.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this source material and set the scene. We are diving into a very common social scenario that is, universally relatable, but it requires some very specific language.
Right.
It involves 3 key elements that make it just a little awkward. First, running into an acquaintance. So, someone you know, but not a close friend.
That's a key distinction. An acquaintance.
Second, that panic that sets in because their name has completely vanished from your mind.
Ugh, the cold sweat.
Exactly. And third, the fact that you're simultaneously pressed for time because you're rushing to another commitment. So it's this really complex situation all bundled into like a 30-second interaction.
And, these are precisely the moments that test your genuine fluency. Because you can't just rely on simple, structured sentences.
Oh, you can't prepare for it.
You have to think fast, you have to maintain social politeness, be professional, and manage your time pressure all at once. Our goal here is to make sure you have the fluent, prepared language ready and waiting before this situation happens to you.
Exactly. So our source material presents a full conversation between 2 people, Nick and Anna. I'm going to read the dialogue for you now very slowly and clearly. Listen carefully to the language they use. Pay special attention to how Anna manages the time constraint and how Nick handles the admission of that memory lapse. I'll read the full exchange without any interruption just to let the context sink in. Okay, here's the dialogue. Nick says, "How's it going?" Anna replies, "Oh, hey, what are you doing in this neighborhood? Do you live around here?" Nick, "Actually, my office is right around the corner. It was great to meet you last week at the conference. I really enjoyed our conversation about foreign investment." Anna, yeah, it was really interesting. I am in a bit of a hurry, but here's my card. We should definitely meet up again and continue our discussion. Nick, sure, you still have my contact details, right? Anna, you know what? This is really embarrassing, but your name has just slipped my mind. Can you remind me? Nick, sure. My name is Anna Ferris. Do not worry about it. It happens to me all the time. I am terrible with names, too. So that's the complete exchange. Nick and Anna meet. They briefly reference a business conference. Something about foreign investments or a professional topic.
Right, very professional.
They discuss their locations. Anna politely rushes the conversation along, admits she forgot Nick's name, that it slipped her mind, and Nick shows, well, great social grace by reassuring her, admitting his own difficulty with names.
What's fascinating here is how quickly they transition. They go from a professional reference, foreign investment, to an urgent exit because of a time constraint, and then a social apology for forgetting the name.
So fast.
They navigate a potentially difficult social interaction using very specific and highly common phrases. And even though in real life this dialogue might be spoken very, very fast, we as English learners, we're going to analyze it piece by piece, word by slow word, to master every nuance.
And that contrast is so key for you, the learner. The content of their conversation for investment is quite serious, but the manner in which they speak, the casual greetings, polite excuses, that's all conversational.
Yes.
So our mission now is to understand the language they used, what each phrase means, why they chose that specific structure over maybe simpler options, and how you can practically apply it in your own life to sound not just correct, but, well, truly natural and fluent.
Precisely. Let's move straight into the specific high-utility phrases from this exchange, starting with how Anna managed that time pressure without offending Nick.
Our first section here focuses on 3 powerful phrases that Nick and Anna used. These phrases are extremely common, and learning them will, I think, instantly elevate your conversational ability.
Oh, for sure, especially when you have those unexpected social or business encounters in public.
Right. So let's start with Anna's immediate exit strategy. She said, I am in a bit of a hurry, but here is my card.
Okay, so the literal definition of in a bit of a hurry is simple. It just means you're moving quickly or that you genuinely have no time available to stay and chat.
You have a deadline, basically.
You have a time constraint that requires your immediate attention somewhere else. Maybe an appointment or a train to catch, something like that.
But the real power of this phrase, it lies in its subtle social engineering, right? The words a bit of a hurry feel really critical here.
They are everything. Saying, I am in a bit of a hurry is so much softer and more socially acceptable than just saying, I am in a hurry.
And it's definitely better than the really direct and often rude, I can't talk now.
That's the essential insight. The phrase signals urgency, you need to leave, but it does it while maintaining excellent social grace. You're giving a reason for your departure, and you're suggesting that if you did have time, you would absolutely stay and talk.
It softens the rejection of the conversation.
It does, completely.
Let's dedicate some time to the practical application here, because this phrase is, it's extremely versatile. You can use it to signal your need to leave, to request faster action, or even to postpone a task. We've got a few examples here to show that range.
Okay, so first, let's look at the application of requesting speed. You might use this with, say, a service provider, for instance. Excuse me, I need to be at the airport in 30 minutes. Can you drive faster? I am in a bit of a hurry.
Right. So here the phrase communicates urgency, and it justifies your request for them to speed things up.
Exactly. Second, let's look at politely declining a request. Imagine a colleague stops you in the hall, asks you to review a document immediately.
Happens all the time.
You'd say, I cannot talk right now. I'm in a bit of a hurry to get to my meeting. Can we reconnect this afternoon? This is a direct but, extremely polite way to decline a conversation or a task request. It excuses you gracefully.
Okay, and the third one, this is highly professional, is using it for postponing a task.
Yeah.
If your desk is piled high with work and someone just adds more.
You can set clear boundaries. You can say, I am in a bit of a hurry to finish this quarterly report, so I will check these new files later this evening. This professionally prioritizes your urgent tasks and sets a clear intention to come back to the new work when you have more time.
And finally, let's talk about synonyms. If you prefer something simpler, is I am in a rush. Basically the same thing.
I am in a rush is a perfectly suitable and very common synonym here. They are pretty much interchangeable. But remember that in a bit of a hurry has that lovely softening element of a bit of a built right in.
Right. And you also mentioned the grammar. We almost always use the verb to be with this phrase. It's I am in a bit of a hurry, not I hurry.
That's a great point. It's a state of being, not an action. So to connect this all back to the dialogue, Anna used this phrase to move the conversation along quickly and politely. She acknowledges Nick, she exchanges professional information, the card, but she makes sure they don't get bogged down in a long chat.
Which allows her to get on with her day while saving face.
Exactly.
Okay, so our second key term is critical in professional and networking environments. It came directly after Anna rushed the conversation. Nick asks Anna, "You still have my contact details, right?"
Right, contact details. This refers to the specific professional information required to contact someone after an initial meeting. The phrase is clear, it's professional, and it's universal in networking.
So it's instantly recognizable in business situations.
It is. It's usually that comprehensive list of ways to reach a person, often printed on a business card or shared in an email signature.
Why is this phrase so necessary, though? Why not just say, my information or my phone number?
That's a great question because while my information is grammatically correct, it's just too vague in a business context. Contact details signals a kind of seriousness and completeness. It implies you're providing the full range of options for connection. This usually includes your name and title, your telephone number, office, or mobile, your email address, and maybe your business address or official social media handles. It covers all the bases.
So it's about being comprehensive. The term itself communicates that I am giving you the means to get in touch with me.
Exactly. And the key fluent phrase there is get in touch with you, which means to phone you, email you, or connect through a mobile service. If you tell someone, I will share my contact details, they immediately understand what's coming. A phone call, an email exchange, a meeting request.
Let's look at some examples. We can use this actively and passively, right? So actively. Before I go, I need to make sure I have your contact detail.
And passively. My contact details are listed at the bottom of the email signature.
Or even, let's say you lose something. Did you find my wallet? It contains my full contact details.
And think about the professional context. Even in a casual run-in like Nick and Anna's, using the term contact details maintains a level of formality that's appropriate for two people who met at a conference to discuss foreign investment.
Right. It avoids that overly casual feeling of just asking for a phone number.
Precisely. Mastering this term is essential for any English learner who plans to network or work in a professional setting.
Okay, now for the truly idiomatic phrase, the one that signals embarrassment in a really natural way. This is where Anna takes a risk and admits her error. She says, "This is really embarrassing, but your name has just slipped my mind."
This phrase, slipped my mind, is one of the clearest examples of a fluent English idiom that, well, doesn't translate well literally.
No, it sounds strange if you think about it.
It does sound strange, but it is extremely common. The definition is simple. It means that you accidentally or unintentionally forgot something.
But why do we use this idiom instead of the simple, clear phrase, "I forgot your name"?
That's where the crucial social function comes in. When you say, I forgot your name, it kind of places the blame squarely on your faulty memory or your lack of attention.
Right. It feels accusatory, almost.
It can, but when you say, it slipped my mind, the construction implies that the information itself has temporarily vanished, almost like it was a physical object that fell out of your grasp. This mechanism is called face-saving.
Face-saving, I like that.
You're admitting a memory lapse in a very conversational, self-deprecating way that lessens the offense.
That makes perfect sense. It suggests the forgetting was totally unintentional. Okay, let's look at a few powerful examples of how this phrase is used in different contexts, not just for names.
Okay, example 1. Forgetting a task. I am sorry I did not send you the meeting agenda yesterday. It completely slipped my mind.
And notice the structure there.
Yeah.
You offer the apology first, then the idiomatic excuse.
Yes. This conveys that the failure was due to simple accidental forgetfulness, not, disrespect.
Okay, example 2. Forgetting a specific date. This is high-stakes forgetting.
It is. I am so sorry I missed the deadline. I wrote it down, but somehow it just slipped my mind. This is a classic application for business where admitting you forgot a date needs to be softened as much as possible.
Okay, example 3. Forgetting where you put an object.
Did you see my keys? I know I put them on the table, but the location must have slipped my mind. Here, it refers to the memory of a recent action. You're saying you did the action, but the memory of where you placed the object is just gone.
And crucially, notice the intensification Anna used in the dialogue. She added the word just. Your name has just slipped my mind.
That's a great catch. That emphasizes the recency and the temporariness of the failure. If you use the word completely, like, it completely slipped my mind, you intensify the depth of the forgetting, making the apology sound even more earnest.
So using it slipped my mind is really the gold standard for conversational fluency when you're admitting memory failure.
It is. It's far more fluid and natural than saying, I forgot. It successfully softened Anna's admission, which allowed the conversation to proceed smoothly.
Now we're transitioning into our putting it together section. And this part is vital because, well, true fluency isn't about knowing individual words in isolation.
Not at all.
It's about knowing how those words fit together in common structures that native speakers use, automatically. We're going to focus on two essential structural phrases used constantly: describing locations and describing abilities.
Okay, so in the dialogue, Nick and Anna were discussing where they were. Anna asks Nick, what are you doing in this neighborhood? Do you live around here?
The core meaning of around here is pretty simple. It means close by or near this current location. It denotes a general local radius around where the speaker is standing.
Right.
A simple application would be asking for information nearby, like, is there a good coffee shop around here? Which just means close to where we are standing right now.
But this is where we need to dive into the necessary nuance for advanced learners, because our source material gives us critical variations that you really need to master to sound truly native.
And these variations depend on the exact distance and the reference point you're trying to describe.
Exactly. So let's start with variation 1. Around here.
As we established, this is the general radius.
Yeah.
We use it when we don't expect the place to be exactly visible, but maybe within walking distance or the immediate neighborhood.
For example, I have only lived around here for 6 months, so I do not know the best places to eat yet. It implies a general presence in the area.
Okay, so now variation 2, right around the corner.
This variation is much more specific. The addition of right for emphasis combined with the corner means on the next street, or very close by, just out of sight, typically past the nearest intersection.
So it's a claim of immediate proximity.
It is. Anna used this variation to describe her office location precisely. Actually, my office is right around the corner. This tells Nick that her office is incredibly close, just a minute or two away on the next block.
It's a very useful phrase when you're giving directions that involve a really short distance, like the post office is right around the corner. You cannot miss it.
And we should probably talk about the pronunciation here, too.
Good point.
When native speakers say right around the corner, the words often blend together, making it one fast, cohesive phrase. Practicing that pace really helps with fluency.
Okay, so then we have variation 3, around there.
Right. This variation, using the word there, is used when you're referring to a general area that is far away from the current conversation point, or an area that was previously mentioned but is not immediate.
So the key difference is the reference point. Here is us. There's somewhere else.
Exactly. Imagine you are in New York City and you're discussing your previous life in another state, say Texas. You would say, Dallas is a huge city. I used to live around there for several years.
So the phrase around there is used because Dallas is not the current location, but it refers to the general vicinity or area of that distant city.
Precisely. It indicates that your residence was somewhere near that general, previously mentioned location.
This structure seems essential when you're discussing general locations without needing to name specific suburbs or streets.
It is. And for you, the English learner, mastering these 3 variations, around here, right around the corner, and around there, is incredibly important. If you use them correctly, you will sound extremely natural when asking for or giving directions.
Which is a conversational requirement for anyone navigating a city.
For sure.
Okay, so now for describing ability. After Anna's admission of forgetting his name, Nick showed great empathy and social intelligence. He reassures her, saying, I'm terrible with names too.
This is such a powerful, highly fluent, and common structure. We use it to admit that you're bad at or unskilled in or just generally unsuccessful in a particular area. It's a very natural way to express a lack of aptitude.
It's often used humorously or self-deprecatingly. The structure is, I am terrible with noun.
And crucially, let's look at the grammar. The preposition with is mandatory here. You are terrible with names, not terrible at names or terrible in names. You're poor at handling or remembering or dealing with that category of information.
And as we mentioned, Nick used this phrase to make Anna feel instantly better. By admitting his own universal human weakness, he kind of shared the embarrassment.
He normalized the entire situation, which is a very advanced social skill translated into a simple phrase.
Absolutely. Let's examine 5 different ways the source material shows us how to use terrible with, covering different types of skills or memory issues. It really demonstrates how versatile this phrase is.
Okay, example 1. Dealing with numerical memory. I am terrible with numbers. I can never seem to remember my credit card PIN or even my own telephone number.
Right. This application deals with poor math skills or a bad memory for digits. I hear people in artistic fields use this phrase a lot.
All the time. Example 2. Navigational skills. I am terrible with directions. If I do not use GPS, I am always getting lost, even in my own city.
This is one of the most frequently used applications of this phrase, and it links directly back to our location discussion.
It does. It communicates a difficulty in navigating space. Example 3. Recognizing people. I am terrible with faces. I saw that actor in 2 different movies, and I did not recognize him until the end credits.
And this is distinct from forgetting a name, right? This is about forgetting the visual appearance of the person.
Exactly. It's about the visual memory. Example 4. Time management. If you are frequently late or miss deadlines, you might say, I am terrible with time. I constantly underestimate how long simple tasks will take.
Another high-frequency, self-aware usage.
It is. And our final modern example, which shows its relevance today. I am terrible with technology.
Oh, that is highly relevant.
This application covers difficulty using computers, smartphones, new applications, or, any complicated digital device. The power of this phrase is its versatility. It immediately communicates a specific area of struggle.
So Nick's phrase, I am terrible with names too, was the perfect social response to diffuse Anna's embarrassment.
The absolute perfect response.
So now we're moving into our final section, focusing on how to make your speech sound truly effortless and, well, how to handle those inevitable social hiccups, when dealing with unexpected encounters and forgetfulness.
Okay, let's go back to Nick's opening line when he first spots Anna. He says, how's it going?
Right. This phrase, how's it going, is perhaps the single most natural and casual way to greet an acquaintance.
Mm-hmm. That specific category of person you know, but who isn't a close friend.
Exactly. Especially when you run into them unexpectedly on the street. It sounds effortlessly native.
And it's essential to contrast this phrase with others. A lot of English learners are taught, how are you, or how are you doing? And those phrases are perfectly correct, but they're slightly more formal. Or they suggest a deeper, more committed conversation is about to follow.
Right. How's it going is the casual standard. It's effortless, it's friendly, and it implies a general, quick check-in about the person's current status. It's the perfect choice for the situation Nick and Anna are in.
Absolutely. And we have to talk about pronunciation for fluency. Oh, good point.
Native speakers often reduce the phrase considerably. We don't usually say every word distinctly. We often reduce the is and the it and the going turns into going or even gun. So it sounds closer to, how's it going?
How's it going?
Yeah. That reduction is a hallmark of truly fluent casual speech. When you practice this phrase, try to achieve that blended, smooth, and quick rhythm.
And when you use this phrase, the expected response is equally casual. It's usually just good or it's going well, thanks, followed immediately by the reciprocal question, and you, or how about you?
It rarely requires a detailed answer, unlike a more formal check-in. So we strongly encourage you, the listener, to use how's it going next time you encounter a friend or acquaintance unexpectedly. Try to substitute it for the more formal, how are you?
And you'll instantly sound more fluent and conversational.
You will.
Okay, now let's tackle the most awkward moment. Forgetting the name. Anna used that key phrase, your name has just slipped my mind. This requires not just good language, but an effective strategy. Right, because admitting memory failure can feel really difficult or unprofessional in a business context.
Oh, I can relate to the core panic of this situation. I mean, my personal anecdote was pretty low stakes. I forgot an uncle's name at a massive family reunion, but the feeling of internal panic.
Oh, yeah.
That feeling that I had to talk to this person but couldn't use their name, it was intense. And in a professional context, that panic is magnified by 10.
Absolutely. The social cost is so much higher. In a family setting, asking a cousin, like you did, is a decent solution. You whispered to a third party, hey, who is that?
Right.
But that relies on a mutual connection who is also a friend. In a high-stakes business setting, when you're meeting an acquaintance, a professional contact, casually, you often don't have a mutual friend nearby to ask. You need professional, self-sufficient tricks.
So if I'm standing in front of a potential client whose name I met briefly at a conference, and I realize I have forgotten their name, I can't just stand there in silence. What are the 2 professional, real-life solutions the source material offers to get the name without admitting I forgot?
Okay, so we have 2 highly practical tricks that turn an embarrassing moment into a display of, well, professional diligence.
I'm listening.
Trick A, politely ask for the person's business card.
Oh, that's brilliant. Because it cloaks the underlying memory problem in the professional routine of networking. What's the exact cover story I should use?
The cover story has to sound like you're focused on future connection, not past failure. So you might say something like, I would love to follow up on our conversation about foreign investment. My digital contact list is acting up. Do you happen to have a card on you so I can make sure I save your information correctly?
And then they hand you the card, and their full name and title are right there.
Exactly. It looks like standard, careful networking behavior, but for you, it's a discrete memory retrieval technique.
Okay, what's trick B?
Trick B, ask the person to write down their email address.
This sounds even more specific. Why the email address specifically over the phone number?
Because in almost all professional settings, a person's full name is spelled out in full within their email address. If their name is Jonathan Smith, the email address will typically be jonathan.smith@companyname.com or some clear variant.
Whereas if you ask for a phone number, you only get digits, which doesn't solve the name problem.
It doesn't help at all.
Okay, so what would the cover story be for asking them to write down their email, especially if I have my phone right there?
You frame it as diligence and follow-up planning. You could say, I'm going to send you that document we discussed, and I want to make sure I spell your name absolutely correctly for the salutation. Could you quickly jot down your email address for me?
So you're implying the purpose is accuracy and respect.
But the result is that you have retrieved their name.
That is incredibly useful. I mean, these are not just phrases. They're behavioral techniques that our listeners can immediately apply to avoid that moment of profound embarrassment.
They are. They turn a potentially awkward social mistake into a demonstration of professional readiness and attention to detail.
It shows you're focused on the future relationship, not the current memory lapse.
Exactly.
This has been a tremendously useful and detailed deep dive into a very common, very short conversation. We've analyzed the structure, the social pressure, and the specific phrases that make Nick and Anna's interaction sound genuinely fluent. Before we sign off, let's quickly review the essential language tools we've covered today.
Okay. We covered 3 vital phrases for managing time and memory, which are really the cornerstones of fluent social conversation. First, in a bit of a hurry.
Meaning you have no time and need to leave politely, softening the exit with a bit of an F.
Second, contact details.
Which is the professional term for the specific information needed to get in touch with you.
And third, that crucial idiomatic phrase slipped my mind.
The natural face-saving way to say you unintentionally forgot something.
We also looked at the structural phrases that boost your fluency when describing location and ability. These demonstrate a higher level of native comprehension.
Right, we learned the variations of proximity with around here, meaning close by, the specific immediate proximity of right around the corner, and the general distant reference of around there.
And we mastered that simple but versatile structure Terrible With used to talk about specific categories where you're unskilled.
Whether that's with names, directions, numbers, faces, or technology.
And finally, we introduced the most casual and native-sounding greeting, how's it going? We also reinforced some related high-value vocabulary from our source material.
Including words like acquaintance, someone you know casually, in a rush, a perfect synonym for having no time, forgetful, a tendency to forget things easily, and the fluent verb phrase to recognize someone.
Yep, to know and remember them.
These 10 phrases and concepts are the building blocks of natural English conversation. We've shown you exactly how they fit together to manage a difficult social interaction, all while maintaining politeness and professionalism. Now, here's our final thought and action step for you, the learner.
So we spent a lot of time today discussing what people are terrible with, which is often used self-deprecatingly as a point of connection. But fluency is also about describing your world accurately, and that includes your strengths.
That's a great point. So our provocative question for you is this. Now that you know how to use terrible with correctly, think about the opposite. What is one thing that you are not terrible with?
What's your greatest skill or strength?
And how will you use at least two of these new phrases, perhaps how is it going, and asking for someone's contact details, to confidently talk about your strength this week in an English conversation?
The application is the key to genuine fluency. Take these lessons and put them into practice today.
That is a great challenge. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into real, everyday English conversation.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep applying these new language tools. The more you use them, the more natural they will become.
We are dedicated to providing you with thorough, detailed, and useful lessons here on the Native Ear channel. We wish you continued success in your English learning journey.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.